Piikani Nation. I'll be your MC for today's events. Welcome to the Blood Tribe Health Fair. For all of you that are going to be here for today's events, we have a good lineup of keynote speakers. This afternoon there's breakout sessions. And just out the door over here, we have a lady with a photo booth. She's going to be doing pictures as well. If you want to do your picture, go out there and see the lady. She'll get that accommodated for you. This morning, we're going to stand by here very shortly. And we're going to have the grand entry. We got the Bullhorn Singers all ready to go. Yeah, Bullhorn Singers. These guys just came in from the Legends Idaho powwow, and they took the championship at that powwow, and they've been quite visible on the powwow trail throughout the years, and one of the world-renowned powwow drum groups from the Blood Nation. And of course, they all follow the influence of many singers that did come from and who have been singing many, many long years. And these guys here are still going out there as they are, as well as they have another champion group there as well. Currently, the Black Otter Drummers, and these young guys are all singing the Blackfoot style the way that they have been taught as well. So, Bullhorn, please stand by. You guys have hand drums there ready to go. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, those of you that can, if you please rise in honor of our honor guard, our flags, our colors, our dancers in this beautiful grand entry song. And here we go, Bullhorn, if you will, gentlemen. Grand entry. Manipua, Bullhorn, so their faces are not washed, so don't mind them. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, Bullhorn. Thank you to the dancers, Todd Croschild and his sons, and the dignitaries. At this time, before we begin, we're going to ask for blessings from our elders, Roger and Kathy Hunt, to do the blessing here today. And one more time, thanking Creator for allowing us to be here together in friendship and to celebrate as the strong Blackfoot people that we are, and Indigenous people throughout Canada. Also giving many blessings for our families and our friends and all those that are required and that do require the prayers as of this day.
Achsik skanatoni. Oktik chini takimochi no hanis senani da khukachemuskan. O kaguki ka kimo amayo kanipitam stachine ska. Aksuka pinohansta kachemuska. Ayo na pinatus ya ke hains katsmat pinan kanats. Ayaw na mo tsawkya kinsuko sinani sa. Kitko simayawa kya mo ta kapokta ipus. O kikima tukin na. O kakatapiyam sa chip snacks. Nisuko si sa kya kitskina. No katsitila patapiya. Kima tukin na. Maraki samuwa kanipiya utapis. O kaya kilakat papuat mo iskak pinna na kaya kinisuko sinani sa mo tiskay o semya kaya magapsa. Ako kitsa ka to sawa kaya mo ka kinakapaw ka manisto pinani sa kata. Kita psko tatsipo iya uko swa chotsisto chonwa. Amutsko kaya nukpa paypos pinanan tsikoy. O kya kistipata piyo pa kya. Kita ko chimaya kya kota pi sinamo kanipya. O kya kistipata piyo no khatsu tapo ita moyo ka kito kiyo. O pitam. Akska ka kinisi tamatoma kya ka mutap ka pu chipya no tsikoy. O kya sa khanay po yo puta pisin. Kimma tukina o kya mo speech ni toisko o kya chinskich kya sig kaya sig tat siyo siya kya kana suka kimma pipits o kya paski pa kikinepa tapisin misami pa tapis kamutan.
Thank you to the grandparents of the sacred way of life of our people, the also members of the Horde Society and who are keeping up the way of life for our people. At this time, I'm going to call upon the drummers, if they will. We're going to do the flag song, and dancers, if you want to come over here and then place the flags. As we sing the song, we can place the flags into the holders there. So we're going to do a flag song. Yeah, we're going to do 2 starts for the flag song. All right, thank you very much, Bullhorn. All right, at this time, we're going to call upon our opening remarks speakers. And we're going to welcome to the stage Charles Weaselhead, former chief of the Blood Tribe, and he'll be giving his welcoming remarks. We want the other ladies to be on standby as well.
Thank you, Gitoki. I dare not look at his eyes. He might try to hypnotize me, so just be careful. Okay, nistwana ko ka tatsiki pui. Kitik sko khanaks matsim pwan ksiskanato ni akika. Amuksa po takik sakika. Oknik se o tuksawui sakika. Makitsi sakya. Amukso ka kitumakitapi minnonik sa astakataya. Okimoksia kitsina minnonik sakika. Ikakawo akutsi puya amukska. Isupuksnima stumia mokka isteipujupa sukinakia piakika. Anya aksisti wakatea anoksisti kuika kika. Thank you very much, Gitoki, for the kind introduction. I just want to bring greetings on behalf of our chairperson, Martin Heavyhead, with the Blood Tribe Department of Health. I'd like to just quickly acknowledge our drummers and our dancers, singers, as well as our elders, the Hunt family. And I'd like to acknowledge our senior leadership with the Blood Tribe Department of Health. We have the CEO, and of course our frontline workers, our managers. And I'd like to also acknowledge all of the departments that are here with us today to enjoy and to listen to a group of speakers, dynamic speakers that we have lined up for the rest of the evening. I think it's clearly evident that we want to hear what's happening in our community, you know. And I do know that there's a tremendous amount of awareness campaign that has happened over the many years. But I want to put some things into perspective. I really think as a community, as department, and as agency, we know clearly what's going on. We know what the issues are, whether it's for our young people, whether it's for our families, whether it's for our communities. And I think what I've heard continuously is that we need to step up, we need to take action. You know, for the last few years, we've lost a tremendous amount of our young people, you know, young people and old people as well, too, middle-aged people that have left our families either orphaned or without moms and dads and without grandparents and stuff like that, you know. But I also want to take this time to send a positive spin to what our community is doing. You know, in the last few years, we've worked very closely with both the provincial and the federal governments to introduce what they refer to as the continuum of care. You know, we all know what this whole addiction, fentanyl addiction, is doing to our communities, you know. So our agencies, our departments have been able to step up and bring together, again, what I refer to as the continuum of care. We're going to exercise some of those strategic plans that have been put in place for many years, you know. I do know that some of you know that the introduction of the 75-bed treatment center will start. Construction will start fairly soon, you know. And we also have a number of our agencies that have explored other ways, other alternatives on how we can challenge, you know, what is happening to our communities. Again, through the Blood Tribe Department of Health, we've been able to take over the wellness shelter in Lethbridge just most recently. And I think it points out to how our departments are being utilized, you know, from outside agencies, you know. Our demographics tell us that we're a young group of people, not necessarily me, but overall, the average age of our young people, are young, you know. So we need to sort of bring that mindset, you know, to what is required of there, you know. I think, again, most of the important things are centered around our education of our young people. But yesterday we had a gathering, for our young people where we honor our elite athletes that have excelled in their sports field, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, those type of things, And it's always a pleasure and it's always a great scene that takes place when we honor our young people, when we identify, what they've been doing throughout many, many years, I'm not going to go into great deal about the trauma that we've been experiencing in the last few years, but definitely I think clearly it needs to be said, that we need the help of the community. We need the help of the family. We need to have everybody on board, just pushing and challenging what's happening to our communities. And mind you, we're not the only community that's facing this crisis. It's happening all over. But listen, we're here on the Blood Reserve. We're here with the Blood Tribe. We want to honor our agencies, our departments, but most of all, I think the message is very, very clear that we need our community to support. We need our community to reach out, to each other, because at some point in time, our elders have said, maybe there's only two things that we can do. We can hope that we can challenge this crisis in the right way, and that we can also bring together our spiritual leaders, to guide us through the whole thing. So there's a list of speakers that we're going to be listening to throughout the day. So enjoy yourself, and I'm very happy to be a part of this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. As you walk off the stage, you're going to get sleep here and sleep. Just kidding. Thank you, Charlie. At this time, I'm going to introduce you to Pam Blood. Let's give her a big round of applause. She's the manager for communications of the Blood Tribe.
Thank you, Gituki. First of all, I just want to thank Roger and Kathy Hunt for the beautiful prayer this morning. We always want to start everything we do in a good way. I'll keep this short and sweet because I know that we're really here to listen to Wacy. So I just wanted to say on behalf of Blood Tribe Administration, directors, and the entities as well, thank you for coming here today. The community walk yesterday was a really good showing of people that wanted to express their concern, their support, and I want to say thank you to the guys with the sticks for the dogs. The dogs didn't do anything, they just acted tough. So for us, today is our community day, and what we wanted to do was to provide a lot of information, a lot of awareness on what the departments are doing to really speak to community concerns regarding the opioid response. And I know our community has really been affected and impacted by a lot of loss, and that doesn't exclude BTA workers. We've all been impacted as well. So when we're at these tables, I wish you guys could really see the compassion, the concern that a lot of the directors, but also our frontline workers express at that time. And everything that we do, we try to do it with informed decision making, and that means we want to hear from the people that are on their road to recovery, and also frontline workers who witness some of these things, and try to turn that around to get the messaging out there. And one of the things is we wanted to really promote prevention to our youth, to do whatever we could in terms of providing those supports, acknowledging the supports in our community with families, the advocates that are out there that are always actively searching for programs for their loved ones who are on their road to recovery. So again, today I ask you, put your phones away and give yourself a chance to really listen and learn from the presenters. And we have a lot of booths out there. Reconnect with our workers, ask them questions, and let's get connected back in this community, because again, we've been told time and time again, connection is one of the biggest things that we can combat addiction. So I'll leave that up to the professionals. And also, again, I just want to thank everybody here for coming out, and enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. She sits short and sweet, but she's really tall. Tall and sweet. No, I'm kidding. I don't know that. She's my cousin. But anyway, we're going to call on the CEO for the Blood Tribe Health, Mr. Derek Fox.
Ogi niksukwa. Ogi nachsix. Itdamix ganatuni. Good morning, everybody. I'm Derek Fox, the CEO for Blood Tribe Department of Health. Just want to first of all thank Roger and Kathy for the prayer, for the blessing. Again, it's always good to start off, as we've heard, as far as in a good way, with the blessing as far as for our event. On behalf of the Blood Tribe Department of Health, we would like to welcome you all to the Blood Tribe Health Fair, to the Blood Tribe Fair. The Health Fair is more than just an event. It is a vital opportunity for the community members to connect with our partners and essential services. It is through these connections that we find support, share knowledge, and foster a sense of unity. Events like these are instrumental in our collective healing from intergenerational trauma. They provide us with space and time to strengthen our relationships with one another and with our partners. This week, we are proud to utilize this health fair to highlight and recognize our community heroes and those with lived experiences. Their stories and dedication are a testament to the strength and resilience of our community. We want to extend our deepest gratitude to the organizers who have worked tirelessly to make this event possible, and all the community members who have come together to participate. And again, we mentioned yesterday, but just want to stress as far as the organizers for the event, being at the table with them, we began planning last fall, so it took a lot of, hard efforts. And again, just want to also acknowledge as far as the Red Crow Community College, thank you for sharing as far as the facility. It is beautiful here. I want to thank Trish as far as from Red Crow, as far as just the efforts with our team, as far as Elena, Shannon, and many others as far as that were a part of the work groups as far as creating the health fair. Hillary and many others as far as with this, PJ, Latoya, thank you all. And thank you all, everyone, for all of the work that you've done as far as helping in creating this. Just want to give a little bit of insight as far as, where we've come from. And again, we've called the Chief and Council have called a state of emergencies, reinforcing the need to continue to collaborate and work together to combat the challenges we face as far as addictions and mental health. And as stated earlier, this isn't just about today. This is about where we've come from. From our grandparents, our parents, to us as far as the trauma, the intergenerational trauma. It can't be stressed enough as far as the impact it has had on us. So again, with that, we will draw from the past as far as our culture, our identity, to continue that resilience. And resilience isn't just about surviving, it is also thriving as well. And this is what we want to continue to share. And yes, as Charlie said, again, you know, there is challenges, but there is also many positives, you know, as we hear the heroes and as we're going to hear from one of our strong role models today, it is that continued positive that we need to hold on to. For myself personally, the legacy of my late mother continues on in my spirit. Every day I pray to her, and I ask her to pray with me every day for our family and for our community. So in that sense, you know, my mother's spirit has never left me. At times the physical is very challenging. We know grief and loss is huge, but I just want to share that there's still that connection. And today, if she was here, what would she want me to do? She would tell me, Chiki, my boy, you need to keep going. You need to keep helping Giskags, your younger siblings, your younger relatives. The community relies on you. And at times she will share too, I don't know why the Creator has put us in these and given us these purposes, but we need to cherish this. And again, so it is these relational responsibilities that we all have to one another that keeps us going in a good way. So again, I am as close to my mother as she was here in physical, now in spirit, as far as continuing on that legacy of helping our members. Little bit of insight as far as the challenges, the crisis we had. We know that in April 2023, the local state of emergency was reinforced due to the increase as far as deaths and crime related to the usage. Our Blood Tribe Chief and Council announced the allocation of over $1.5 million from tribes sourced revenue to tackle the escalating drug trafficking crisis on the Blood Reserve. At the time, the situational report from the Blood Tribe Department of Health physicians increased overdoses, fatalities, evictions, overwhelming wait lists for detox and treatment programs, concerns regarding child development, a cultural disconnect, mental health issues, a need for enhanced grief and loss support. The Blood Tribe Opioid Response Task Force and Action Plan is dedicated to addressing the opioid crisis within the Blood Tribe community through a community-centered approach. The team works to minimize the negative consequences associated with the use, including overdose and the effects of substance use. Again, it is the positives that we have also created as far as the continuum of care that we heard from Charlie. You know, throughout the crisis, our team with partners worked on creating the addictions framework model, kind of sharing as far as that journey of continuum of care that's needed. From that, we were able to secure funding for our Bringing the Spirit Home program, the Detox Center. And with that, it's created further momentum as far as the 75 therapeutic recovery community that we are also creating, but also too, just the collaboration within the community. And again, I can't stress that enough, all agencies working together, how powerful that could be as far as for our people. And again, just want to wish all of you a very nice day, and I hope that you all enjoy in taking in the breakout sessions and our keynote speaker today. So with that, thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Derek. And at this time, speaking on behalf of Roy Weasel Fat, we have Sam Creighton.
Okay, good morning. Idamak skanatoni, nistogok sinabaki. Nixist anista itsis sanoa, ninna anista anastaxi akopi. Good morning, everybody. My name is Samantha Fox Creighton, and it is both a privilege and an honor to address you today. Having dedicated over 2 decades of my life to Red Crow Community College, I have witnessed firsthand the transformative power of education within our Niitsitapi community. As an alumna, teacher, director of adult education, and now vice president, I have seen how our Blackfoot culture and commitment to quality learning can change lives. It has been a privilege to be a part of the educational opportunities and the transfer of knowledge that Red Crow College provides to students and to the people of Gaina. Red Crow Community College stands for opportunity. It's a place where knowledge flows freely and where the transfer of wisdom from one generation to the next is celebrated. On behalf of the Red Crow College, I extend a warm welcome to organizers, presenters, participants. This gathering will foster collaboration and growth for all involved. Our Blackfoot people are a priority and deserve every opportunity to live healthy lives. We recognize the challenges our members face, the struggles that ripple through our families, friends, and tribes, the struggles that ripple in our community, but events like the Blood Tribe Health Fair allow us to come together, to connect, and to collaborate. Through these community building efforts, we can care for and protect one another. I express my gratitude to our Gasanonics. They ensure that our traditional ways endure. They emphasize Gibat-de-Bisinon, our way of life. It is our shared responsibility to pass down knowledge, to uplift one another, and to embrace new approaches that safeguard our people. Together, through community partnerships, we create and provide quality services that promote the well-being of our community. Once again, welcome to the beautiful Red Crow Community College. Enjoy your time here, and let us continue to honor our Blackfoot ways and build a healthier future together. P.S. Don't forget to apply to Red Crow. Thank you.
At this time, Fawn Wood is on the agenda, but she sends her regrets. She did have a family member pass away just over the weekend, and they're taking care of that business. Now, before we get started, the committee here has taken $2,000 and they taped it under one of these chairs. You're just like, y'all, really? There's a bunch of empty chairs. So everybody on the bleachers, they were requesting to come over here and sit down. Security, I don't feel so secure with you guys sitting way over there. Come, everybody, yes, they just requested, the elders as well requested for everybody to come and join on the chairs here, and then, you know, we'll get started as well. All right, now that you all get a chair there, we're going to start the hypnotist show. No, I'm kidding. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, you know, growing up watching the NHL hockey a long time ago, I remember who here remembers the series that Stanley Cup playoffs ended in April? Put your hands up. Do you remember them ending in April? Oh, you're really old. No, I'm kidding. You know, it was the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. I think for 2 consecutive years they were, I believe, went head to head. And man, I'm a huge Montreal Canadiens fan, but those are really exciting times. And as a young, you know, child from the reserve, you can only dream so much, but to extend that dream beyond your reserve and to actually be playing in an NHL professional hockey league was really far from, you know, what we have here. But although we had some really great athletes from our reserve, but they never did really make it to that extent. My uncle, late John Prairie Chicken, he did get scouted to go play for Montreal Canadiens, but he ended up not going. He backed out at the last minute. I mean, we can look at different factors regarding historical trauma, etc., and so on, but I'm sure they had their reasons for not, leaving too far from home and taking on that journey. But today, our young warriors go out and they journey through many different trials and tribulations, and sometimes they take leadership roles politically, and it's a very thankless job. And they're out there exposing themselves totally for other people to, come forward and say a lot of negative things, so we need to keep them in our prayer. Today is about celebration of life. It's about victory. It's about victorious and how we can, actually learn those victory songs. When we are young people being passed on our ways of life, like when I was given and transferred the Brave Dog Rattle by my grandfather, he said, in the future, we are going to be faced with more taking care of people who can't take care of themselves. And we're going to forget about those who are going out and leading the way and paving the way for our young people, to say, you can get that far. In 2005, this young man here had made that celebration and victory. He was drafted to the Boston Bruins. And he went on to play as captain of the Saskatoon Hockey Club and is now an assistant coach. So let's give a big warm welcome to Wasey Rabbit from the Blood Nation. Can somebody take our picture together, and we're going to do a comparison with his wife? I was kidding.
Oki Nistuni Donagu Sapata. Before I get speaking, I just want to say thank you to the elders for the blessings, the opening remarks. It's nice to be home. I actually went to school here where Red Crow College is here at K4 and K5, and I was a little disappointed. One of my first memories of school, I wasn't a big fan of school, was that we got to make stone soup. I got to bring a potato. Each person from class got to bring something to make soup, and apparently there was no stones in that soup. So that was kind of the beginning of my my down look upon on education. No, it's nice to be home. It's been a while. I've been surrounded by in Treaty 6 by Crees and Oilers fans. No. I was driving down here and I was thinking of, what I was going to say and how I was going to talk and how I was going to share my story, and it only begins, like I said, I went to school here, K4, K5. My first time skating was down at the Sportsplex. My grandma ran the Adoyo, my late grandma Patsy, and my late grandpa Larry. Those are all the memories that I think of, and my family members passed on, and it's really good to see some familiar faces. Anytime I speak, I always want to speak of the ones that helped me get where I am today. And my story started just like any person growing up here. That I love hockey. Hockey was my passion, but I found out later in life that my passion was actually people. I didn't start playing hockey to make the NHL. I didn't know what the NHL was. I wanted to play with my late cousin Clay Plume, my late cousin RJ. Those are my friends. I wanted to play hockey because they were playing hockey. I like to be a part of a team. Something for me to be a part of hockey was that, it was something greater than myself. I got to, I learned life lessons through hockey. One of my first actual memories and why I was playing hockey was that I was playing with the Kainai Flames, and I wanted to be a goalie, and our team was really good. Like, we had really good players, and we were playing a team from Nanton, and the last time we beat them was 10-0. So I fought with my mom that, I wanted to go in net. Our goalie didn't show up, and we won that game 15-4. Everyone was really happy that we won, but they were also really mad that I let in 14 goals, and that was the last time that I was a goalie. And those are the memories that I carry with me today. I think I was 5 or 6, and by about 6 or 7, I started to excel at hockey. And for those of you that don't know, that my age group growing up, I was probably middle of the pack of skill-wise. Like we had some really, really talented hockey players on my team and from the reserve. I just happened to, I went to school at Fort Macleod. I would come every day in and out. I'd bus. For the late, his name's Wayne Plume. He was our bus driver. He was B12, going back and forth. That I was the inspector. I would go on to the bus, and I was probably in grade 3, and we had grade 1 K to grade 12, and I would go to the back with all the older kids. And my job was to make sure that nobody drank any pop or had chips on the bus. But like every kid, you brought chips or pops on the bus. But they knew that through me, that if you gave me some chips and you gave me some pop, that we'd have a smooth ride. And if you didn't, Wayne was gonna hear about it. And I'm just these memories are coming back. And as I'm telling my story, that it's part of me is it's sad that I had to leave. For me to chase my dream of playing hockey, I had to leave. I learned real quick that part of chasing something is that you have to leave things behind. I went to school at Fort Macleod, which wasn't far. There was all my friends and family. And then I moved to Lethbridge, which is a little bit further. And then my mom got a job in Airdrie, and when I moved to Airdrie, that was the first time that I walked into a classroom or a dressing room, and there was someone that didn't look like me. And there wasn't a lot of, at the time, there wasn't a lot of people of color. There definitely wasn't a lot of Indigenous people in the dressing room. So, I faced a lot of racism, a lot of name calling. I was a really insecure young man. I had really bad acne as a teenager, so that I was reminded of that. But hockey was my sanctuary. And, I was 10 years old. I'll get back, I'll keep going back and forth with my stories. Just bear with me. It'll all line up, and everything rhymes, and my rhyme has a reason. One of the hardest parts for me to leave the reserve was that, I was leaving my friends, and hockey was my sanctuary. Like I just mentioned that, school, I went to school, but school was something that I had to do. But hockey was my passion, and I belonged. And I remember playing soccer at WA Day with a group of white kids that didn't let me play soccer with them. I wanted to play, but they just didn't let me because of where I came from. And that didn't bother me. But what really bothered me was I was playing in an Adam AA tournament here in Lethbridge, and we made Sunday. We were playing a team from Sherwood Park. They were the top team in Alberta, and there were teams from Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and this was the first time I got to, play in a tournament against other kids my age that are at that top tier. And I scored 2 goals, and I was feeling so good about myself. And we're in Henderson, and this kid looks right across from me. He says, "Go back to your reserve." And for the first time, and I actually tell this story to every year with the kids that I coach, that, that was the first time in my life that someone told me I didn't belong somewhere because of who I was and where I come from. And I'm from the Blood Tribe, and I'm proud. And my grandma, I remember I cried. Nobody stood up for me. The coaches didn't know what to do. The refs didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle it. The only person that stood up for me was my dad and my grandparents. And I'll stick with these words to the day I die. My grandma, my late grandma Patsy, she said, "Be proud of who you are and where you come from." And for our youth, I remember that every time I go into a dressing room, whether that's the Boston Bruins dressing room, whether that's a dressing room in Europe, or whether that's into a conference or I get to speak, I'm very, very proud of where I come from. I come from here. My first skates, my first time I stepped on the ice was down the hill. I love eating fish and chips at the Adoyup when I'd come home from school. So those are the stories that I tell, and that's when I come here and I still tell those stories. I was very, very lucky. I worked hard, and I was drafted by the Saskatoon Blades when I was 14. So now I moved from Airdrie, which was about 2.5 hours away, to Saskatoon, and from my parents and my mom and then my grandparents, that was a really hard transition for me. For me, I just got to go away. I got to get away from my parents, and I got to be away from, I got to play junior hockey. That was my dream, and I got to play in the Western Hockey League. Saskatoon became my home. Everyone around in that area, the Indigenous community, really embraced me. I was drafted, that was mentioned, I was drafted in 2005 by the Boston Bruins, which is, I set goals and I looked to attain those goals. And one of those goals was to be drafted. And it was a huge honor. Just a little story about the draft. I have two stories about the Boston Bruins. I got on, just leading up to the draft, it was the Sidney Crosby draft. I was taken just right after Sidney Crosby. For those that know who Sidney Crosby is, he was drafted first overall, and I taken right after him, 154th overall. So just 153 picks right after Sidney Crosby. I was sitting in a draft meeting with the Boston Bruins, and it was the most insecure I've ever been. There's Cam Neely, there's Don Sweeney, who's the GM, and Peter Chiarelli, who was picking me. They asked me who do I model my game after? And I'm this short little guy. And I said some names, and there's one guy. And what they do is they try and get in your head, and they want to see how you respond to certain things and I basically think on your feet. And I said Joe Sakic. And Joe Sakic at the time was scoring 40 goals. He was a Stanley Cup champion, and he was a 200-foot centerman. And one guy, it's basically like Trump's boardroom. There's 50 scouts, 50 other managers, and he looks down and he says, "You think you're Joe Sakic?" And I'm like, no, what you ask? And then another guy peeks on his head around here. He goes, "Kid, you ain't Joe Sakic." So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a great meeting. And I left the room and I was really insecure, and I was feeling down. I'm like, well, I'm not getting drafted to Boston. And then I was at home in end of July, and I got a phone call, and it was the Boston Bruins. They had drafted me. So, when I got drafted, it was more of a celebration. Obviously for all the accomplishments I did, but for my parents, the sacrifices that they made. They had to go. I learned a lot later in life that they had to go. They did a good job keeping things from me because they didn't want me to worry. They sacrificed a lot so that I could chase my dream. So my draft day, and I always talk about this, was for my parents and my grandparents. My grandpa would give me a cow so I could do registration, or I can get a new skates, but my parents would sometimes go without meals so that I could go play hockey or I have enough to eat. So I always tell that story, that draft day was for my parents. And then the next year, I don't know, for those of you that are old enough to remember the name Shane Peacock. He was the captain of the Lethbridge Hurricanes. And my heroes weren't Wayne Gretzky. My heroes weren't Mike Bossy. My hero was Shane Peacock, because I identified with him. I didn't know that he was a defenseman. I didn't know that he was a goal scorer. Apparently he was really good. I was 5 years old, but I knew that he was native and he was a captain for a Western Hockey League team. And that was one of the goals that I wanted to achieve. And in 2006, I was the third First Nations in Western Hockey League history to be named the captain of a franchise. And and for me, leadership is I didn't know what type of captain I wanted to be. I knew the leadership that I knew from growing up here, and that was taking care of one another. Whether it was I was the first off the bus to unload the bus, or I was the last one to leave to make sure everything was cleaned up, but we leave things better than we found it. And that's the type of leadership that I leaned on, and I learned throughout my my WHL career in that first year. And then later on that year, I signed my first NHL deal. So my entry-level contract with the Boston Bruins, and then I was a professional. And I got to move, and I moved to Providence in Boston. I played 4 or 5 years in the American Hockey League with the Nashville Predators farm team in Milwaukee, the Florida Panthers team in San Antonio. But I never got to play in the NHL. I never got to put my skates. I never stepped foot on an NHL ice surface in a regular season game. But that, for me, right now, that wasn't, that's not a negative. Right? I'm a person that looks a glass half full. I said, okay, well, what can I do with hockey? And I got some opportunities to travel the world. I've lived in 8 different countries, from Japan. I walked the Great Wall of China. I got to step foot in North Korea. For those of you that know North Korea, at the time when I played there in 2012, was one of the most dangerous places between North Korea and South Korea. And the United Nations, we were there playing, and I got to go on a tour, and I got to step foot in North Korea. I walked the Great Wall of China. I got to sit there and I learned different languages, from Croatian. I spent 3 years in Norway. So my NHL dream turned into something different. Although my path was going this way, Creator said, no, you're going this way. And I was meant to go through these experiences. And that's something I'm always thankful for. You know, my hockey career it was good. I'm very proud of what I did and what I accomplished. I want to share a poem. I'm a big acronym guy. I'm a big poem. I love reading, and now that I'm a coach, I love things that motivate people, and especially that motivate our athletes. And this is something that kept popping up. And this poem was on the walls the first time I stepped into the Boston Bruins training room. It's called Man in the Glass. It's by Peter Dale and Wimbrow Sr. When you get what you want and you struggle for self, and the world makes you the king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you clear to the end. And you've passed your most difficult, dangerous test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but the final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass. So I was 18 when I first read that, going into the Boston Bruins, and April 21st, 2020 is my sobriety date. I just celebrated my 4-year sobriety. I just spoke about my hockey career, and that my accomplishment. That is my greatest accomplishment to date. It was really hard for me to ask for help. My story is that I mentioned I went to Saskatoon. The first time I had a beer was at a Saskatoon Blades party. Junior hockey, or just hockey in general, is beer culture. I was really insecure as a young man. Like I mentioned, I had really bad acne, and people let me know about it. I didn't look like everybody in that classroom, and I didn't look like anybody in that dressing room, so I just wanted to fit in. Hockey was my sanctuary. So for me to fit in that meant I had to, and I was warned. I'll be the first one to tell you, I was warned that alcohol will be your downfall. And sure enough, it was. I wasn't a heavy drinker to start. You know, I was a weekend warrior. When the boys would go out, I would go out. And then eventually, I would go out, and then I would stay out. And that carried throughout my career. So part of that, you know, not making the NHL, a lot of it had to do with my substance abuse. I hid a lot of things. I had some trauma in my life that I pushed down and I buried. And again, like I said, I was a very insecure human being. I was a very insecure young man, and I was afraid. And I didn't know how to ask for help. I was 28 years old when I first tried drugs. Alcohol wasn't enough. I didn't want to do drugs my entire life, but when I was 20 years old was the first time I tried. And it took me like that. I'm a very outgoing person, and I want to be the life of the party. And I was for a little bit. And eventually the party stopped. And then I started drinking alone, and I started partying alone. And it was 2020, it was June, just as the pandemic started. We got back from Florida, myself and my wife, we were isolating in my parents' basement because the pandemic just started. And she got to go home to Edmonton, but I was by myself. And one of my good friends growing up was actually a dealer. So he would sneak me booze and he would sneak me drugs. So for 14 days, I was self-medicating. And on the 13th day, he didn't have any more. So I had to look for someone. I was scrounging my phone, and I got some more booze, and I was partying that night. And I don't remember what happened. I woke up on my stomach. I had, I overdosed. Something, the stuff that I was taking was laced. And I woke up. If I was on my back, I would not be here today. I didn't know what to do. I cried downstairs. I was by myself. I was literally in my mom's basement. I was broken. I had everything that you could ask for in the world, but I was bankrupt. I wasn't a good person. I didn't like who I turned out to be. And I honestly I had what they call it the alcoholic's prayer, is that when you wake up in the morning and you just ask whoever, like, I have a connection with our Creator now, but then I didn't. But I prayed to whoever was listening, that was Creator, and I asked that I didn't want to live like this anymore. So the only person I knew to go to was my mom. I broke down to her and I said, I have a problem with drugs and alcohol. And I broke down, I cried, and when I said that, when I admitted to somebody else that I had a problem and I wasn't carrying this baggage, it was like this weight vest was lifted off of me. And I couldn't go to treatment. I couldn't go anywhere because of COVID. I didn't know how to handle it. So I was basically white-knuckling it for 8 days. And I tell this story because this story saved my life. My former captain and teammate, his name's Nate Thompson. He played in the NHL. And for those of you that follow hockey, there's a podcast called 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. And I was in Edmonton. I was at my in-laws. I was 11 days sober, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was trying to talk to therapists. Nobody would take me. I was trying to go in treatment. Nobody would take me because of COVID. But I heard this voice, and it was Nate Thompson's voice. And at the time, he was 3 years sober. And, I follow him on Twitter. Just the words that he said, I didn't feel alone. So I messaged him on Twitter. I said, hey, I heard you on Elliot and Jeff's podcast. I just want to say that I'm 11 days sober. Your story inspired me, and within seconds we were on the phone. And Nate helps me. I talk to him every day. He plays in the NHL. He did play in the NHL now. He works with the Kings, but I talk to him every day. He's my, he's my person that in the sobriety community you never do it alone, right? For me to stay sober, I have to do things one day at a time. It's one day at a time for me. I wake up every day. I'm a person of, I do the same things. I wake up and I make my bed. I got real close to Creator. I go to ceremony now when I can. I learned that, I can't do this alone. And being Nitsitapi and being from the Bloods, that, it was hard to come home, but I was really excited to come home and share my story because I haven't shared my story to my people, right? And in today's world, it's really, really, really hard, whether you're a man or if you're a man or you're a female, that it's really hard to ask for help. It's considered, that it's a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength is actually is going up to somebody and saying, hey, I need help, or giving somebody. A sign of strength for me is just somebody willing to listen, right? Sometimes that's all you need, is to feel that you're not alone. And that's why I love, I loved hockey because I love people, but I love coaching because I love being there for somebody else. Because it's more than me. That's why I love hockey. I don't love hockey because of the game. I love hockey because of the people, and that's something that is my passion. I want to read one more poem here before I go here. And I hope that everybody takes something from this, what they can, because I read it at least once a month, and I've read it to our teammates here. Sorry, to my teammates and to the players I coach. I learned that no matter what happens or how bad I'll start again. I've learned that no matter what happens or how bad it seems today, life goes on and it will get better tomorrow. I've learned that you can tell a lot about a person by the way he or she handles three things: a rainy day, lost luggage, and tangled Christmas lights. I've learned that regardless of your relationship with your parents, you'll miss them when they're gone from your life. I've learned that making a living is not the same as making a life. I've learned that life sometimes gives you a second chance. I've learned that you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You need to be able to throw some things back. I've learned that whenever I decide something with an open heart, I usually make the right decision. I've learned that even when I have pains, I don't have to be one. I learned that every day you should reach out and touch someone. People love a warm hug or just a friendly pat on the back. I've learned that I still have a lot to learn. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's by Maya Angelou. So you look around, you look to your left, you look to your right. Some people are from Kainai, some people are from Siksika, or some people aren't from Treaty 7 at all. But we're all here today. And it's really, really important that everybody feels that they're not alone. So if you are suffering in silence, or if you are going through something, or if you know somebody is, sometimes 2 ears, 1 mouth, all you need to do is just listen and be there for somebody else. That's what I've learned in my sobriety. In order for me to keep my sobriety, I have to give it away. So today, all of you guys have saved my life. Everybody listening here, you've saved my life because today you're going to help keep me sober. And that's all I can ask Creator for is just one more day. And I'll worry about tomorrow. So from the bottom of my heart, Sugapi, it's good to be home. And thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Wacy said if you want to take his picture, I have to be included. Thank you, Wacy. Okay, just some house cleaning rules here. There's still a lot of food left out there. If anybody wants to grab some more, you're more than welcome to do so as well. At this time, I'd like to pay a special acknowledgement. You know, to bring people together, presenters, and put all of this together is a big job. So let's give the Blood Tribe Health, Elena Dore and her staff there for putting this together and bringing everybody together. They've done a great job. And so they're awesome for doing that. So at this time, we're going to introduce the next speaker. He's the Senior Executive Officer of the Blood Tribe Administration. Let's make welcome Leroy Wolfcaller. He's also the former chief of the Siksika Nation.
Thank you. You might hypnotize me while I'm up here. Hoki ni tamix ka no to ni giziko connects mats no khpoa. This the one na ko ka sakuwa paki ni mkhtu tsitapi Siksika. Good morning and greetings to you all. Thank you, Wacy, for that inspirational speech. It's very inspiring. My son Leslie used to skate with Wacy in the summer months when they had that skills development program in the city of Calgary. So because of that experience, he became a very good hockey player. Although he never made pro, nevertheless, he acquired a lot of good skills. Thank you, Wacy. It was a year ago on May 15th when I was hired as the Blood Tribe Senior Executive Officer. And one of the first assignments from Chief and Council was they asked me to put together an opioid strategy to address the Blood Tribe opioids crisis. And so subsequent to that, I brought all the Blood Tribe administration directors and entity reps, and we began a strategic planning process. And it took many months to put together the strategy, and it's still ongoing as we speak. However, we're at the implementation stages of the planning. From that strategic plan, we identified 4 core businesses. First one being governance. You know, with a process like this, we need to have a process in facilitating the opioids itself. We call it a wraparound service. And that wraparound service involves intake, it involves assessment, and then it involves case conferencing. Because as you know, many of the clientele that come through those doors don't just have one issue. It's not just about alcohol or drugs. A lot of them are numerous issues like housing, employment. Maybe they have to go to court. Maybe their children got apprehended or whatever. But it's multiple issues that they're facing or dealing with as individuals or families. So from that, we're creating that wraparound as part of the governance system. And then secondly, the finance. We identified finance as the core item for the opioids program. We're putting together a 3-year budget. We need a detailed budget on costs so that we can facilitate this program. And then the third one is communications. That's why we're here today. One of the core businesses in the opioid strategic plan was to host the health fair. And I just want to say thank you to Derek and company and all the partners in putting together this first annual Blood Tribe Health Fair. And then, of course, the last piece to the strategic planning is the community relations part. The task force teams will be going out into the communities on the Blood Tribe Nation to get input and ideas from community members to make things, I suppose, make things better. Because I think it's important that we hear from the community and get their own ideas on how we can help better facilitate the crisis itself and how we could better address it. So, but just to take a step back here, you know, about just over a year ago, before I became the SEO, I was working as a consultant for the Siksika Family Support, well, not support services, but the White Buffalo program. I put together their Siksika Men's Warriors program. It's about men and addictions. The manager, Mildred Broad Scalplock's daughter, was murdered by her boyfriend. It was a domestic violence case, and we talked about it. And I asked Mildred, what's one regret you have with your relationship with your late daughter? And she said, you know, my regret is that I never talked life to her. I never said enough good things to her. I was always scolding her to the point that I was scaring her away. She never wanted to be around me because I was always getting mad at her for drinking and doing drugs and hanging out with the wrong crowd, I guess. Says from that, I never got to say goodbye to her. So just from that thought, I told the directors and the entity reps, we need to speak life to the community of the Blood Tribe Nation. Let's stop talking about the crisis. Let's stop talking about the deaths and all the statistics about how many people OD'd and how many people ended up in the prison systems, etc. Let's focus on the healthier stuff. Let's inspire our people. Let's motivate them. Let's do things like this, and we'll bring in people like Wacy Rabbit to talk about their personal experiences and how they overcame those as a way to inspire our young people. That's the objective of this health fair, is to motivate the people, to inspire them so that the young people that will be coming here, I think tomorrow, I believe, and so when they hear, unfortunately I wish they were here today so they could hear Wacy's presentation, because the objective is that we want our young people to be inspired by those people who are talking about success. And of course, with that being said, we're saying we want to speak life to the young people so that they can keep trying, they can see that light, they could see that vision, they could see the opportunities. That's what this planning is all about. That's what this health fair is all about. Although it's in its very first year this week, it's going to get bigger and better. And one of the emphasis that the directors stated that we want our own role models to come here to speak to our young people, because we come from the same community, same culture, same language, same experiences. You know, and I agree with that. You know, these are our issues. And any of the people here in Kenya in particular that have succeeded, that have gone on to be professional hockey players or lawyers or educators, they should be here talking to the young people so that they in turn could inspire the younger people to become like them. The focus has to be that. We have to steer them in a direction where there's opportunities, where we can encourage them. You know, one of the most encouraging things that I saw in the last 12 months is how the Blood Tribe Recreation, thank you, Marcella, and her team at Recreation and Parks work around the clock to help the young people in this community participate in sports. That's really, really awesome. How about a hand for Marcella? Seriously. You know, we have spent over $1 million through Jordan's Principle funding so that the young people can participate in the North American Indigenous Games last year down east, the Alberta Indigenous Games, the Alberta Treaty Hockey, the Native Provincials, and then recently a bunch of basketball teams went down to Vegas. And the people behind the scenes that are working really, really hard are Marcella and her team. And I wanted to acknowledge her because that we need to recognize people like that. Our T-shirt here, unfortunately, our leadership is not here today, not because they didn't want to be. They had pre-booked their retreat dates. That's why they couldn't be here. But I did tell the chief that I committed to be with the health team here so I can make this presentation here. The T-shirt, as you see, this was our vision statement in our strategic plan. And it says, healthy families, healthy communities, living a healthy lifestyle. So ultimately, the future state of the nation has to be this. But this is everybody's responsibility, not just myself, the directors and the entity reps or the health department. It takes the whole community to get here. And we as adults in this community have a responsibility to give our children that support they need to succeed. And if you can't do it, ask for help. Never be too proud that you're going to avoid help and be ashamed to say, no, I don't want to ask anybody for help. If you need help, ask for it. And I thought that this is a really awesome statement here. Healthy families, healthy communities, live in healthy lifestyle. We want to reverse everything that we're experiencing today. And I want to also acknowledge my EA, Monica Blackwater. Same thing with Monica. She's my backbone. She takes really good care of me. She's dealing with the T-shirts and just everything that I do as an SEO. She even helps me prepare all of my strategic planning. I'm involved in planning every week. I work with a lot of directors, and it's an awesome thing to do. You know, you have some very smart people in this community. With the directors, the entity reps, and your leadership. You know, my hat's off to your leadership. You know, they have the philosophy, as you guys know, Gene Sini. Gene Sini, as you know, is a declaration that was made by your elders some time ago in the 80s, who laid out the principles of the values and beliefs of the Blood Tribe Nation and the obligations that they expect from the leadership of the day, where it's to protect the lands and resources of the Blood Tribe Nation, to protect the treaty and Aboriginal rights, and to ensure that the Akukats and Sundance and all of these things continue to be carried out. And in leadership, they use that philosophy. Things like that. And I just think that that's awesome as elected leaders to carry out that philosophy, although it conflicts with Western policies. So we try to figure out ways to get around those so that they can help people. You know, and I say that not because I work for them. I've been in leadership. I was in leadership for 17 years as an elected counselor, as an elected chief. I've been a former CEO and a former tribal manager. I've been a consultant. So I know what leadership is all about, you know, but it doesn't have to be an elected official. You know, people like Wasey's a leader. He's shown us good leadership in all of the things that he had aspired to do and successfully achieved those. But I think the last part I just want to say, before we hand out, we've got 500 T-shirts we're going to give out. And I apologize, our supplier didn't provide us with double X, okay? So take an extra large for now. We promise you next year we'll do a better job, and we'll give you the bigger T-shirts here. So that's one. And I wanna copy what Wasey said, because I too have a bit of a statement on my phone that I wanted to share. I think it speaks to the things that we're talking about that are important in our ways and how we measure the wellness of our community. Just give me a second. This is something I came across when I was writing my book, Oral History of South Africa and the Dismantling of Apartheid. You can tell the state of a nation and the health of its people by the stories they tell. If their stories are about pain, anger, and suffering, then that is the state of the nation, the state of their health. If their stories are about freedom and achieving their goals, then that's what's going on. Rebuilding Native nations is about our own new stories. Satan Herb George, a hereditary chief, Frog Clan from Wet'suwet'en Nation. And that's something that we need to listen for when we're out there. What are the people saying? What are those stories? Are they stories of success? Or are they stories of sadness? If they're stories of sadness, we need to come together to turn that around so that we can have healthier communities, healthier families living a healthy lifestyle. So with that, good morning and thank you.
All right, one more time. Let's give Leroy a big round of applause. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to call upon the panel to come forward onto the stage here. Persons with lived experience. The presenters are Chad Chief Moon, Jigs Day Chief, Garrett Standing Alone, and Chantel Day Chief. So the panel discussion are going to go 10 minutes each, and then after that we'll be open for questions. And we're going to begin the discussion here, the 10-minute presentation. We're going to go over to Jigs Day Chief, and then we'll go over to Chad, then Chantel, and then Garrett. And then after that, they'll be open up for panel discussion or question time, and then we'll proceed with the lunch. But before we get there, panel, go ahead.
Okay, Nistana Danago Agoto Kaki. My English name is Jake State Chief. I'm from the Blood Tribe. I'm currently 5 years clean from alcohol. And drugs. And what has helped me along the way is just being part of ceremonies, I guess being involved in the community, helping out with, I work at Bringing the Spirit Home Detox Center. I was started out there as peer support worker, and then I moved up to being a case manager and just helping our clients get into treatment and helping them stay focused in their recovery. And yeah, just trying to teach them what has helped me along the way. Just, prayer, being being physical and involved with sports and whatever. But yeah.
Right. Okay. Nidanago Otokatapi. My name is Chad Chief Moon. A lot of people know me as Chad Bears and Bone. First of all, I just want to thank Elena for recognizing my sobriety and my recovery here. So I've been alcohol-free and drug-free for 5 years now. And probably, if there's anything I'm taking away from recovery, it's being grateful. Grateful, and you know, recovery is an everyday thing. It's not, you don't get a day off. So you gotta be appreciate everybody and everything in your life. I come from two awesome families, the Chief Moons and the Bearshinbones, and I couldn't figure out why I was, well, you know, my dad, Jordan and Susan Bearshinbone, raised me good and supported me and everything, but I couldn't figure out why. I always went to alcohol to make me feel good about myself. So probably one of the toughest things I ever did in my life was ask for help. Because I growing up in an era where, you know, stigma, you know, you're weak if you go ask for help, right? And it took me this long, but you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. I learned so much. You know, even rock bottom taught me a lot of things. I was like 20 plus years rock bottom. I'm a binge drinker, right? So I can get my shit together, and then I can just lose it just like that. That's what alcohol will do to you, and drugs. It'll destroy you. But everything that, you know, I had to go through was up in my head. Is a thought process. You gotta change your attitude. You gotta have the effort. You gotta put it all in every day. And so I had to go get help for this battle of depression and addictions. What I found out was coming out of, I've been to treatment like 3 times. The first time was court ordered. The second time was to look good in court. The third time was life or death, right? Suicide is real. 5 years ago, I decided to take my life, but I asked for help, and I'm very grateful today to be sitting up here. One person I met in treatment, he said, one day you're going to be sitting up here and you're going to be telling your story. And I was like, no way, man. I'm going to be isolated. I'm going to be enjoying life, but it doesn't work like that. You got to share this. You got to help everybody, right? I learned from these people up here. I learned from a lot of people out there. But recovery, you know, like I said, it's an everyday thing. But it comes with blessings, right? In recovery, you're going to find your passion and you're going to find your purpose in life. And my passion has always been sports as a young age. Growing up here on the reserve, it's reality. You see a lot of families breaking up. You see a lot of alcoholism back in the 80s, 90s, and I saw that. So I walked away from my family at a young age. I had a wife, 2 kids, you know, and we both had good jobs and a big house, and I couldn't understand why I walked away from that. But what I learned in treatment was the residential effect, right? It was my turn to fail. It was just my turn, right? But how would I put this? Once again, I had to put in that attitude and effort and ask for help. My late Auntie Sylvia was the one that said, I called her up and she said, Kika, I'll call you right back. Boom. There's a treatment center waiting for you. Get on that bus and get out of here. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, or I just knew I had to go. And it was up there. I gave it all to the Creator. And since then, I've had like so many blessings. And once again, I found my passion, my purpose. My passion has always been sports. Sports always took me away from a dark place, but it also brought me into a dark place. So I really had to figure stuff out, and my purpose in life is to give back, give my babies, and like my parents have, and my grandmothers, Mona and Annie, they always gave back, in my aunties and my uncles, without asking for anything in return. So that's my job today. I took on that responsibility. Today, I'm a community program leader for Spirit North, an organization that empowers Indigenous youth through traditional land-based games. I have my own lacrosse association because of Spirit North, right? So I keep pretty busy with that. And I'm a minor hockey coordinator for the reserve here. So I guess you can say that I'm living my, my dream jobs. I get to hang out at the rink year round, and I wouldn't change it for the world right now. But my purpose is just give back as much as possible. And, I'm just very blessed with everything that sports has given me. Last July, I was out there in Nova Scotia helping Team Alberta U16 win a bronze medal in lacrosse, and I haven't even played lacrosse, right? A couple months ago, I was out there in Vancouver at a big U15 tournament coaching. And you know what? I didn't even have to spend a dime on these places. I was one end of the country, all because one end of the country to the other, because of just being sober and enjoying life, right? But this weekend, it's kind of special to me. Kainai will be hosting its first league lacrosse games ever on any First Nation. Kainai is the only First Nation to have a lacrosse association, so that's something to be proud of, right? This didn't just happen overnight or just last month. It actually started about 12 years ago when my son first started playing lacrosse, and my first thought was, why can't our kids play this on the reserve? I couldn't get it done that year because I was still active in my alcohol days. So I had to fail for like 12 years. Today, this coming weekend, it's going to be reality. So if there's any message out there I can get out there, is just don't give up, hey? Giving up is not an option, and if you need help, go get it, right? Because if I didn't ask for help, I probably wouldn't even be here today, right? This reserve, I just live over here, so I get to see the realities of this place, right? Back then, I was ashamed of it. Today, I'm proud of where I come from. My kids live with me. They're adults now. And I told them, I said, you guys want to move to the city? You guys want to go to Cart City? They said, no, this is home. That's when I knew I was doing something right? Be proud of who you are and where you come from, just like Wasey said. A couple of years back, one of the elders called me up and they said, if you're going to be working with those kids, you gotta remind them who they are and where they come from. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, shucks, I wish somebody told me that, right? Like back then, because I was ashamed of myself. Today, I'm really proud to be Kainai, proud to be Blackfoot, right? Went up there to the Freddie Saskatchewan, the Thunder Chief tournament, and to see the Braves play. I was like, holy, I was like really proud of the boys there. All Blackfoot territory boys, right? I couldn't be any more prouder than them. But let's see, I'm just going on here now. You know what? I think we all have a part to play here on any reserve, any First Nations, because we're faced with the most, right? My son plays lacrosse, and he tried out for a team before COVID started, and he was the youngest, and he wasn't the greatest, like he wasn't the best player on the team. But the coach, he made the team, and the coach asked me, do you know why I picked your kid? And he said, what's up? And he said, well, your son has to walk out that door. And when he walks out that door, he has pressure on him. He has to represent his mom. He has to represent his dad. Then he has to go to school, and he has to put up with peer pressure, bullying, all that stuff. Then he has to go to Lethbridge to go play on an all-white team. Some more pressure. He has to face discrimination. He has to face racism. Then he has to travel all the ways to Brooks every Thursday night. And he has to perform in all these perform in front of all the coaches, and that's more pressure right there. He said, so I can't wait to see this Blackfoot kid play against all these top lacrosse players. That's a lot of pressure right there. If he can handle all that to get to the rink, he can make this. You know, I want to see him play. Today, he's playing Junior A lacrosse in Calgary, which is very tough to make. And he just followed my lead. You know, one day, when COVID was happening, I got a phone call. Hey, your son's hammered, right? And like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? But he followed me, right? And then I sobered up, and then he followed me again, right? He stays away from that stuff. He's not perfect or anything. And I told him, I told him, son, you're leading a tough, you know, this path. It's pretty tough. Let's go help the other kids now, right? So that's my job today. I took upon that responsibility to help the kids today, coaching, right? And once again, my philosophy is attitude and effort. The attitude's got to be there. The effort's got to be there. You're going to fail, but it's not it's what you do after. It's how you react to your failures, right? I can care less what's on that scoreboard, but as long as you're a good person in and out of the arena, you know, you're on the team. Hey, you got to have that attitude and effort. But yeah, once again, very thankful to be recognized for sobriety and recovery, especially here on the Blood Reserve. You know, I'll never take anything for granted ever again. But yeah, just want to thank you all for listening, and have a good day.
Thank you, Chad. Good morning. My name is Natko Dapoakaki. My English name is Chantel Daychief. I've been 6 years sober as of March. And wow, I don't know where to start, but my journey started in sobriety. Let me just tell you the background. You know, about six years ago, a raid hit my house. Cops busted in the house, and at the time, Blake and I, that's my partner, Blake Tailfeathers, and we're not married yet, but but anyways, the cops came in the house. They were looking for drugs, and the house was all a mess. The kids were all sleeping. They came in with guns. They broke my door down, and so they left my house, and it was just a mess. And we had that opportunity to say, okay, are we going to quit? Oh, and then my kids were taken from me. They were hauled off with Children's Services. And we had to make that decision the next day. Well, Blake and I were in jail for 24 hours, and during that time, we were in severe withdrawal, and we had that, when they let us out, we had a choice to keep using, because we were really sick, or go get some help. And so we staggered down we went back home, staggered down to the hospital to go ask for help. And so at that time, that was the toughest decision. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking about my boys. And I've got 4 boys, 18, 16 and twins that are 14. And just seeing them, you know, leaving the house was hard as a mother. So, yeah. And then Blake and I, we went to treatment. From there, we had to wait a month. I went to detox, and Blake went to Fort McLeod. And it is still a healing journey. Because I put my boys through a lot. And right now, I want to talk about the positive stuff that has happened since then. I took a year to work on myself, went to treatment, and I ended up at the Kainai Healing Lodge as a receptionist, and that's where I went to treatment. And somebody gave me a second chance to work again. And it's those people that I thank, you know, for supporting me. And especially my family. So I've been there for 6 years, and now I'm the finance manager there, acting intern executive director right now. So I've come a long way since then. My boys, oh, I want to talk about Blake too, because he's my other half. He's graduating with his addictions counseling on the 30th with his degree, and I'm so proud of him. And my boys, I do anything for my boys. Torin, my oldest, he made it to Junior A. He'll be leaving in the fall to Lac La Biche. You know, he's the oldest one, my boy. He's seen everything, and, you know, our lifestyle. And to this day, he doesn't drink because of, you know, seeing us suffer. And then we'd always talk to him about, you know, what can happen, and he's seen it. So I'm pretty proud of him for not going down that road. My middle one, Marcus, he just won his first rodeo yesterday or Monday. He was in the shoot dogging, so he won that event. I got a picture of him holding his check. And my twins, they played with Todd's team for the provincials and the treaties in Oscana, and they did really well. They won the gold at the provincials, and they won silver at the treaties, and I'm really proud of them because my boys are all athletes, and I'm very proud to say that. And also, I just got them into MMA, and my twins, came back last night, and they were saying, Mom, that Sensei told us if we ever did MMA before, because we really know how to fight. So they're enjoying that, and yeah. And I want to thank my family and my friends. Like, I know you have to choose your friends wisely, because right now, my friends are very close knit, and I used to think, you know, the people that I used with and I drank with were my friends, but they weren't. They were just using me, or I was using them, you know. But yeah, I'm all over the place. It's always really emotional for me to speak up here in front of a crowd. And I've done it before, but I can't. If I shut my past, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And so when I think about the past, it makes me stronger, a stronger person. Like Chad said, you have to ask for help, because you can't get there on your own if you're lost in that addiction. And so with that, if you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer it, for the best of my ability. And thank you.
Hoki ne tūkuaks, Itāmic Kanatani, Stona Koka, Sakamutasi. So usually at this point you guys say Uki back. So yeah, my name's Garrett Standing Alone. Been in recovery, lost count after 10 years. For me, with addictions and my alcoholism and my drug using, to this day I say I put it away. Hey, it's always going to be there. It's just my choice not to use it anymore. So, and there's a point in my life where I was heavily into my addictions. I was like, my thought process was, I can't live without this stuff, alcohol and drugs. I needed it to, function. And but now I can say where I'm at now is that totally flipped, Now I'm like, I can't live my life with these drugs and alcohol. So just a little bit about myself. So currently I work at the Blood Tribe Department of Health at the Detox. I'm a case manager. Previous to that, I started my path in this field of work in Lethbridge. I started at the Lethbridge shelter, and then from there I moved on to the Indigenous Recovery Coach program. I was there for about 6 years, right from the inception. It was a pilot project. It's still continuing today, but I just felt like, for me, it was time to move on and come home and start, giving back to my community and my people, And I was still working with individuals from the reserve in the city, but I just felt like it was time to come home. I was in the city for about 21 years, and so I moved back to the reserve full time now, 100%, about going on a year and a half now. So I'm happy, I like it. tired of the city. But so, you know, I had buddies and guys I used to drink with, and party with, and you know, they'd come up to me and ask me questions, like, you know, some of you may know me in my past role as Wildman. And you know, they'd come up to me and ask me, like, how'd I do it? How'd I, you know? And for me, my process, I did I did the treatment thing, I did the AA thing, and it was just not working for me. Then, you know, growing up, I was always around Akukats, the circle camp, big camp. But as I got older, I lost contact with that side of my life, and I drifted off. And as most of us do, you know, we lose our way. But I found my way back up to the big camp. And, you know, I started talking to people, the elders, people involved in ceremony. And I got approached by this lady, and she asked me if I can help her, you know, to dance with the Iitskinaks, the horns. And I said, yeah. You know, I was scared because I'd previous to that, being up there, I was just always hooking on, riding horses, or, you know, trying to find a girlfriend. So I wasn't paying attention to what's really going on, eh? But yeah, and then I said yeah, and I walked in there and I seen all these bundles, eh? And just so impressed. Come and sit right here. So yeah, anyways, I went in there and then walked in there and I seen all these bundles, and you know, for 4 years that lady held that bundle, and she continued to ask me every year to help her, and I continued to help her, and you know, I was really grateful for that. That's what really set me on my trail of sobriety recovery, eh? After that, I was approached by another individual to join the Gukweek Society. So that was my introduction into society life. So I took a bundle in there, and I was with them for 5 years, had that bundle, and that individual that approached me to take that bundle was one of the main leaders in the Gukweeks. And it was time to transfer, and he turned around and he told me to take his bundle. So I talked to my wife, she said yeah, so we took that bundle. So I did 2 tours in Gukweeks. My first time in there, I was Batsikoi. I don't know if any of you know what that means, but if you do know what it means, share with whoever doesn't know what it means. I can't say that word. And then the second time I went in as Awanas, so that's the rattle. And then from there, I was offered, well, my wife had a dream about another bundle, so we went to go talk to an elder about it, and he said, well, you got to fulfill your dream. So we fulfilled our dream. We approached, we asked for it. We were denied. The person wasn't ready to transfer. So we said, okay. We sat back. Okay, we did our part, we moved on. And we thought, okay, that was it. We're done with that. But a month later, that elder we sent to send a message came back to us. He told us there was a bundle there that if we wanted to take it. So we were kind of blown away. And we thought about it, and eventually we accepted and have that bundle currently. And then, so through all this learning and hearing from the elders, learning our ways, our society ways, our traditional stories, what it is to be Blackfoot, you know, that really grounded me, and and that gave me a lot of strength to continue on in my recovery. So, and then I ended up being in the, made full circle, Started out as a helper, then I ended up being a part of that main camp in the center, East Canucks. So, you know, in starting my road to recovery, it was tough, like Chantal had said, you quit partying and all this and that. Then you find out who your real friends are. And come to, I had like maybe one or two. So, you know, these are the people that will really encourage you to continue on, you know. And there's people out there that are getting mad at you, and telling you, you know, that's not good, quit doing that. And you're thinking, these guys are always mad at me. But those are the ones that love you, The ones that are telling you, just keep going, come on. They don't care about you. So, something to think about. But yeah, anyways, getting back to, I guess I kind of veered off topic there, you know, talking to my buddies, you know, how I did it and all that. That was kind of a bit of it, of what I did to better myself, you know. And, you know, when I used to be out there, you know, I had nothing, you know. I had the clothes on my back and what I had. Sometimes I'd wake up, I wouldn't even have, you know, my shirt or my shoes. And it'd be, you know, it's crazy. And then one day I woke up and I just looked outside my house and, you know, I had my kids there playing, my wife, you know, I had vehicles, nice stuff, And I was like, where did all this stuff come from, I was talking to an elder, Elder told me, you know, you're doing good, you're working for the people, you're helping them, and Deuce, our Creator, He gives you gifts along the way. And so that's what I look at, the stuff that I have now as my gifts that I've gotten for, you know, the work that I've put into myself and helping those that are in need, you know, giving myself up for our people, That's the life I live right now. So, what else was I going to say? So yeah, anyways, but yeah, and that's when I started. Boys were asking me, and I just gave them a little bit of my story. I told them, you know, anybody asks me about my life and my story and how I got to where I am right now, I'll tell them, And, you know, there were some bad parts in it, in and out of jail, you know. Got to a point where I was sitting in jail and I was like, I had two choices. I was either going to die or I was going to be in jail for the rest of my life. And without ever realizing it, there was always a third choice. Live, start living. Hey, live your life, you know, without these stuff to hold you down. And all along, I was doing that. So, and then I always encourage people, you know, like Chad had said, ask for help, you know. Talk to professionals, like counselors, whatever, grieving counselors, you know, if you need to talk in a group, you know. And you gotta always remember, on this road, you're not alone, eh? Like, it's a community. There's a community there of people that are in the same boat as you are, in recovery. And there's a community out there, you know, they're there to support you. Those are the people you gotta find and attach yourself to. And listen to their stories, you know. You're gonna find out you're not alone in this world walking that trail. There's other people out there that are on the same path you're on. And it helps a lot, you know, encouraging each other, you know, gaining each other's knowledge through their stories, you know. Maybe hear one guy telling one story about himself and you'd be like, geez, you know, that happened to me. And you can relate, you know. It opens up your heart, eh? And to allow more in so you can be successful. And speaking with elders, you know, learning our ways, because we're Nitsitapi, we're Blackfoot, eh? Be proud of it. We're a very strong, resilient people. We've gone through a lot, we're still here. And we still have our ways throughout, you know, Canada, United States. We still have our original ways. We have our ceremonial stuff that, you know, can't even count, you know. Talk to elders, they'll count back so many generations, and that's maybe 100 years right there. And that's just a small portion. Imagine you go back 100 years, you talk to those elders, they're gonna tell you about other stuff. It just goes back and back. So I encourage you guys, you know, talk to elders, learn our stories, find our ways. It'll empower you, give you strength, eh? So, but yeah, I think I'll end there. I think it's been past 20 minutes, eh? All right. Jan.
All right, thank you, panel. Now they're going to open up the for discussion, for a question. If anybody has a question, we're going to allow you to ask one question, and then they're all going to answer it, right? So does anybody have any questions about the stories you've heard here so far and the recovery process? You know, really important is that the process of recovery does come from, you know, family members, your community, especially that support system. What's also included that support system is the ability to love yourself and love one another. And, you know, our ways of our people have always been that way, was the love, joy, and happiness in these gatherings that we do have. And that's what this gathering here today is that sacred love, joy, happiness, and going back to your authentic self, who you really are before you know, you became an adult and got into addictions and these different ways of life. So maybe it's not really becoming something in your life, but maybe it's unbecoming all that you've learned that caused so much pain. And then so with our panel here, they have some great victory stories for all of us here to celebrate, and they should be celebrated as well. So let's give them another big round of applause. Does anybody have a question? Don't be shy. Oh, I have to go way over there. I'll bring the mic to you.
Okay, Okay, here's our question, our S3 here. We would like to know, what does daily sobriety mean to you, or if maybe you walk us through, you know, a few of you said taking it one day at a time. What does that look like?
Well, for me, I guess it's focusing on the day, getting through the day, encouraging others to, you know, work on themselves, not worrying about what I did yesterday or in the past, using that as a tool to help individuals in their own journey, and trying really hard not to worry about tomorrow, hey? It's, you know, it's tough. Like Chad had said, you know, every day is, you know, it's work. So for me, that's, I guess, I hope that answers your question. But.
For me, it's starting the day off with a good morning with a smudge, and trying not to yell at my boys to get up for school, and you know, having a good morning starts the day off good for me, and also taking care of myself every day, meaning just being around positive people. Yeah, so.
So, like I said before, recovery is an everyday thing. And for me, it's, once again, being grateful, right? I was told to, once you get up and you say your prayer, you pray for thanks. And when you go to bed, you once again pray for thanks, right? But one day at a time, you know, in 24 hours, so much can happen. Your emotions are gonna go all over the place. And it's more than just putting that bottle down. It's more than just putting that drug away. It's controlling your emotions. And that's what makes recovery tough. And really, it's not for everybody. You really got to be solid. Hey? Your emotions are going to get the best of you. That's life. You're human. Hey? So for that question, it's just acceptance, right? You got to, if you get defeated, learn from it, grow from it, and just be grateful every day. Every day you're here on earth, right? Thanks.
Okay, for me it's at Simoykan, so prayer. Try and start out the day with a prayer, giving thanks to Istabat to be up for giving, like, you know, blessing me with what I have today, and not worrying about what happened yesterday. It's in the past now, and not worrying about tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't here yet. Just focusing on today. You know, we live day by day, and, you know, take it one day at a time. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Panel, we have another question on this side here.
Okay, I notice we have a lot of young people here. Can you tell us what is one thing in your life that helped you sort of turn the corner around, whether it's addiction, trauma, you know, those type of things? It could be something that a person in your life, it could be an experience, it could be a traumatic happening that sort of gave you sort of the inspiration to change. So I think, like I said, we've got lots of young people. Perhaps we can get some insight from you personally on what set you straight.
So for me, I think the turning point for me was going to the penitentiary for 3.5 years, and at that time I got to be able to, you know, just take part in all the programs that were being offered. I had a lot of grief that I was going through and a lot of trauma that I went through as a child, or, you know, being young. And I got to deal with it there, deal with my grief and just whatever I had going on, my addictions. And like I like when I first got picked up, I wasn't thinking about, you know, trying to change at that time. You know, in the back of my mind, I still had that thought of wanting to keep using. But then once I knew I was gonna go to jail for a while, then that's when my thought pattern changed. I thought, well, okay, maybe this is the time that, you know, I have to turn my life around to get better and see where this new life will take me. And, you know, it's brought me a lot of blessings now. You know, I didn't think I'd be able to like work towards obtaining my drivers. You know, I got my drivers not long ago. I have a nice vehicle that I got on my own, and, you know, I pay for my vehicle on my own, and just, you know, a lot of blessings that I've had.
So from my experience, I had to set little goals before I was setting big goals I couldn't accomplish, and this time around I had to set little ones. And of course, it's always been based around my kids. I didn't want them to go through life without having a father, but they did have a father, but he was never there because, like, emotionally, I was never there for them because I was too busy in my alcohol and my addictions. But the word changed. So I was working up in Fort McMurray about probably 8 years ago or so, and deep down inside I was crying for help, but of course, you know, you're a man, you can't ask for help, right? So I was just, that's when you're battling your demons right there, and my demons were winning at that time. When you work up north, you're making a lot of money, and I had nothing to show for any of that money, right? Because it all went to my addictions. So I had to make a change, right? And I didn't make it back then, but I remember when I was up there, I saved this thing and it was in my Gmail. I couldn't understand it back then, but today I do. And it says, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. I'll read that again. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. And I couldn't get it back then because I wasn't willing to change. Up until 5 years ago, put it all into the Creator's hands. And now, you know, to me, comfort zone, if I get too comfortable, I got to get up and move. I got to create something. I got to do something. I got to change, right? You're constantly changing. Change with the seasons. Hey, change. And yeah, like, you know, tomorrow's going to be a different challenge. But yeah, make that change. It's worth it. Thanks.
For me, it was my family, my boys especially. I saw where they could go if I didn't change my ways. And also my family, my mom and dad, and I know I put them through a lot because I would lie to them and I would steal from them. And, you know, when they already forgave me, and my boys, you know, because I'm their mother, they forgave me a long time ago, even before I quit. You know, every day you know, they encouraged me, and you know, they never gave up on me. And another thing is finding my identity. Before I got into addictions, and what made me happy was being around horses, and that's what kind of healed. I'm still on that journey right now. I'm got back into rodeo, barrel racing again, and I'm so grateful for the people that have supported me in that. So I'm enjoying myself right now, and as long as I'm happy, other people around me are happy too. So, again.
What was your question again? No, I was just kidding. So, for myself, like Jigs, I did do some time in the penitentiary. I met a guy in there as a counselor who's really smart, you know, and he introduced me to this word, intergenerational trauma. And he explained it, and I seen it, you know. Some of you may not know what intergenerational trauma is. If you don't know, look it up, find out, and figure it out. Some of you do know what it is. And, you know, throughout all my BS I was doing, I had a wife and 2 kids. And my wife stood by me through all that BS. And my kids, they were young, but they seen. Kids are not dumb. They seen what I was doing. And, you know, my oldest daughter, she, you know, now we can joke about it. But she told me, you know, Dad, remember that one time we were at home and you came home, you were drunk and you started raising hell with Mom, and me and my daughter, me and my sister were hiding under the table and they were just crying, you know. Right there I made that choice, you know, to break that cycle of intergenerational trauma, you know, what I went through. I didn't want my kids to go through that. So that was a changing point for me.
We have time for one more question, and then we're going to get Fawn Wood. She's going to zoom in here. She's going to sing a song for all of us here in the panel as well.
All right, hello. My question is, like, what's like a daily like motivational thing to like, oh, I really talk weird. What's like a daily motivator that like kind of helped you through your sobriety? And also you at the end, speak up, right?
Daily motivational for me is waking up and remembering the day before, what I did, what I'm going to do today, being clear-minded, looking at my kids, yeah, and the blessings that I've received, you know, so, yeah.
Daily motivational. I guess just waking up, you know, alive. I was into the hard drugs, and I'm grateful to be here with my family, supporting my kids. And being, just being alive is my motivation. So, thank you.
So once again, my motivator is being grateful, right? Also, believe it or not, one of my motivators, best ones, are my haters and my doubters. You know, if they're quiet, then that goes to show I'm in my comfort zone. So I gotta get moving and doing some positive stuff here. One thing I picked up along the way is surrounding myself with real positive people, and in that process, I got my boss over here, Marcella. You know, she lets me, all the stuff that's up in my head, the positive things, I get to play it out every day. I get to go down to the rink and utilize it. So that motivates me, right? But that's really important, to have a motivation, and that's pretty much mine. Is just hang out with the best people. They're gonna support you. They're gonna back you up, and they're gonna give you a reason to get up as well. Don't forget your haters. Hey, if they're quiet, you're being quiet. Be loud, right? Be loud in your recovery. Thanks.
So my motivation is just waking up clean, sober, you know, not waking up dope sick, or sometimes I did used to wake up still messed up, and, you know, it's an ugly feeling. Now I get to wake up, my head is clear, you know, have a clear mind to think and go about my day, and yeah.
And what we're seeing with our intergenerational trauma is that we have a lot of complex and compounded trauma, and Western psychology notions, they don't know how to deal with that. They do not have answers for us. This is why this is so unique in the things that we do as clinicians, because we have to sort of bring in our knowledge systems to sort of fill that gap that Western psychology has.
If we went back 100 years when our ancestors used to live in teepees, you would stand at the door and you would notify the homeowner, the teepee owner, that you were there. And by that, you would make a guttural sound from your throat. The owner would know. Iko do means he's here, he's arrived. They'll say, "Speak."
So we listen to those stories, and they're teaching us about who we are, about our why we're here. And it's all about creation. We even have Napi stories. How many of you were told the Napi stories? The Napi stories, it's a story about how you can even teach all these values to your little children through the Napi stories.
If you weren't knocked out, then you don't have a concussion.
So
True or false?
True.
False.
False. Yes. So, actually, less than 10% of cases that we see actually involve somebody getting knocked out, which is something. Because a lot of people think you have to get knocked out, right? So, what's the next one? So, you've had one concussion. Does it increase your chances of having another one in the future? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice work. I told you. So remember, go like this. Nice. Yeah, perfect. Oh, nice try. Nice try.
I'm sure when you first broke, though, you took in a deep breath and it was really sore for you.
Yeah,
So you knew, let's hold a little bit and let's not push it. But how long does that sensation last before you start feeling pressure? I have to keep going. I have to keep trying to move forward. And so if you meet that 3-month mark and it's starting to come into the chronic pain area, then we start looking for answers of what we can do to help ourselves on that.
I was entrenched by MOU and a shared commitment where the two parties, University of Lethbridge and the Blood Tribe Department of Health, partners envisioned this journey of co-creation to be rooted in shared values of humility, respect, honesty, kindness, collaboration, and strength.
So the purpose, when we chatted today, I really tried to stay true to the principles in this framework, so I really encourage you guys. I've sent it out to you guys, just click on it, check your emails, it's really, really good. Good reading. It focuses on the 4 pillars of prevention and harm reduction, detox, aftercare, treatment. In 2018, when we declared the state of emergency here at Blood Tribe, these lovely ladies were out doing a community needs assessment.
Our feelings, our thoughts, our worries, but we're trying to build something here where a safe space where you can say what you need without any prejudice or any to be shy of it. And so that's where we implemented the mail program. And Christmas, we changed our name from to Akastawans.
So at this time, we're going to actually turn back over to the AV up here, if you can see it. We have Fawn Wood. Hi, Fawn. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, Fawn. 1, 2, 3, real loud. Hi, Fawn. Kitsi Kakomim. That means I love you in Blackfoot. All right, so Fawn here is going to be rendering this beautiful song. Are we going to wait for the other two to come back, or we're just going to get started? Okay, yeah, we're ready to go. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn it over to Fawn Wood. We can't hear. Hold on 1 second. Should we do it in sign language? Sounds kidding. There you go.
Good? All right. First of all, I just want to say, Danse kita tamskat na wow. Nimiwaitin egidute anu taf virtual. First of all, I just want to greet you all and I want to say thank you. And I apologize for not being able to make it today. I had some important family matters to take care of here around home. But I'm sure you guys had a really beautiful day. And I just want to say thank you to the committee and the organizers for inviting me to still be able to share a really meaningful song with you all. I think it's a beautiful thing when our people really promote holistic wellness and healthiness in our communities, whether it's, mental, spiritual, physical, or emotional. And like many other communities in Indian country, I know a lot of our people, we experience a lot of losses. And the song I was asked to share with you guys is Remember Me. A little history and story behind this song is the song was actually given to me by my uncle Randy Wood. And he was probably one of my biggest role models when it came to singing. The song is really meaningful because it was originally made for one of my uncles who had passed away, Mr. Stoney Whiskey Jack from Saddle Lake Cree Nation, where I'm from. And I've been really honored that this song has touched people in such a special way. And I want to dedicate it to each and every single one of our people across, Turtle Island and the U.S. and Canada, all of our communities that have experienced, the losses we have in the past little while here. And I want to offer this song to you guys as a form of prayer and hope that, you get a little bit of what we call that miope matsu in Cree. We call, that good life, that good energy from this. And I want to dedicate it to each and every single one of you. And again, I just want to say, Nanaskamon, I'm really thankful. And I hope you guys enjoy the song. hey, oh, hey. Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, hi, oh, hey. Hey, way, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, way, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hi, oh, hey. Hi, way, hey, oh, hi, oh, hey. Hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, hi, oh, hey. Hey, way, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey, way, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Hi, oh, hey. Hey, way, hey, oh, hi, oh, hey. Hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hi, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Hi. I just want to say, I appreciate you guys for letting me join you guys a little bit virtual here, and I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your fair. And I know you have one more day there tomorrow, and I hope to make my way down there sometime soon. Hi.
One more time, let's give a big round of applause to Fawn Wood. Thank you very much for that beautiful song.